Hello and welcome to the Mighty 90s, a movie podcast. I'm Simon,
And I'm Dom.
and tonight we are honored to be joined by composing royalty, someone that literally scored the soundtrack to mine and your childhood with, well, the classic Three Ninjas that we're going to talk about, but so many other things as well, like the OC, U571. 6 Feet Under, so many others that would love to talk about, but we're here to really talk about Three Ninjas. Rick Marvin is here. Rick, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's really great to hear people remember that. Was it 20 some years ago that it's still got some traction and people it sticks in people's minds and reminds them when they were young. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. I mean, so Three Ninjas for me. So you were just saying before we were recording that like your children's age. So Dom and I are 38. So we were it came out right in that sort of catchment age for when we were children as well. And I loved Three Ninjas so much that I used to like have after school care, and I would travel with it when I was little, like in my backpack after school, so I could like put it in anywhere I was going. And back in those days with like VHS tapes, you just put it in, it would just be back, it'd be exactly where you left off, you know. So I might be watching
Yeah.
in like 5 minute increments, but I absolutely loved it. And then on this podcast, we've had the pleasure of having several of the cast members
Oh,
on to talk about it, because it's got like a really interesting history to it too. Like there's two edits of the movie. There's like an international version and the US version, and so many other little intricacies to it. So it's great to have the opportunity to have you on, because we also love the music, like love the score to Three Ninjas specifically, but also love like cinematic scores. And yeah, so it's a great pleasure to talk about it. So could you tell us a bit about how you got the gig? Because I mean, from your IMDb, it looks like it was made like quite early on in your career.
yeah, I was afraid you were going to ask me that because I have no knowledge of or memory of how that happened. But I had gone to college in Indiana and come to LA in '78. And within a couple of years, I became a studio musician, specializing in synthesizers and electronic music. And so I was able to work for all the biggies like Maurice Jarre and John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith and James Horner and Tom Newman, Dave Newman, all those guys. I was a session guy for about 8 to 10 years until the early '90s when another guy I was working for named Mike Post of Law and Order fame. I was working with him, and he had just pushed me into becoming a composer because the whole business had been. He just saw it changing from live sessions with 45 pieces, all recording a score, to recording out of the box. In other words, with computers. So I did a couple TV movies, and just very weird how you get jobs around here. It's just who do you know and who said something about, oh, there's this project and there's a guy who used to be your high school mate and you should talk to him and blah blah blah. So to be really honest, I don't remember how that happened. I was very lucky to meet John Turteltaub, the director, and I did that score all in the computer. There was no live musicians except for the end song.
Wow.
We brought in a guy who, again, I don't remember his name, but he did the Kid Power song, and he rapped it, and he did the scratching on the turntable, and there's actually, you can hear John Turteltaub, the director, yelling in that cut, Kid Power. He wanted to have something to say, so he would just insert little things during the song, and it's pretty funny when you know who he is and what he said. But anyway, it was the biggest thing that I had done at that point because Disney picked it up, and actually Touchstone, through owned by Disney. It was produced by a company called Global Ventures. There was a Chinese company, and I remember the name Martha, who was part of that. and there was another gentleman, don't remember his name, sorry, but um, it was a great experience, and I remember playing stuff for John and getting a lot of support from him, and it just came really naturally. It was a lot of just improvising and yeah, I like that or I like that. Oh, what are we going to do for the dudes in the bathroom, and what's the theme for that? And what's the theme for Grandpa? And those kind of things was and then if I'm not mistaken, as far as cost to profit ratio, it rated very high, sorry, very high that year because it didn't cost much to make, and it did really well in the theaters and continued to have a life in, as you say, in the VHS world.
Yeah, I think from like the people we've had on as well, there's so we just had most recently we had Patrick Labateau on who played like the main surfer dude Fester, and he
Oh
was
yeah,
saying about how in the year that it came out that it was the most profitable movie that year in terms of like the percentage ratio, like you said, from budget to profit, and it
yeah,
has this real staying power. I mean, I think there's the wish fulfillment from a child perspective of imagining that you could like take on these like bandits and things, and I guess it has the kind of combination of being a bit like Home Alone and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kind of crossed over. But
yeah.
when you were trying to come up with the score, are you having like the rough edit and then you're putting the music on top of that to try and match it to like the tone of what's happening, or were you yeah, like how did that process work?
Yeah, that's how it happens. You get a cut that's hopefully as close to being locked. That means so there will not be any changes, hopefully. And then I start working on ideas that I have. And my whole process, I was a jazz major in college and I played a lot of jazz. So my process is to improvise to picture, to get ideas. And the the opening with Grandpa up in the tree and all that stuff that came out. Actually, I thought you might be interested to hear this.
That's crazy.
So cool.
That's so crazy. Can we just say that that was like a private concert? We just had a private concert.
Yeah, yeah, you can.
That's
That
amazing.
was excellent.
Wait, what was you doing that on? What are you doing here?
I'm doing it on a piano sample.
Like you can just freestyle that. Like just like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I
I
can.
mean, I
I
know I get you're like a really established, very decorated like musician, but that's just blowing my mind.
well, the other one I remember is
Mm.
anyway.
Perfect.
I do remember those themes very well because it was a big deal for me.
This is a big deal for me right now.
Mm.
It's so good. It's so amazing. And well, so we're I have so many questions, but were you aware? I will let you speak at some point, Dom. He's just here to observe.
Oh, it's fine.
Is did were you aware that there was like the two edits, like there's like the international version and the other version in that there's
I'm not aware of that.
was I mean, I think there's various kind of stories around it, but there's two versions of the film, and in fact, on YouTube, they have both. I don't believe in pirating. I have Three Ninjas on Laserdisc, Blu-ray, DVD. The only thing I don't have it on is VHS, funny enough, but I did at one point. But on YouTube, there is two versions of the movie in full, and so you can just go and see this. And I think there's like an 8 or 9 minute difference, and essentially they cut out a lot of the violence in the international cut. So the cut that Dom and I saw when we were kids, we didn't see Grandpa like killing a guy with a ninja star, and we didn't see
Oh,
some of these other bits. And in fact, the bullies in the basketball game in the version we saw, the like the kids win or the bullies win. The kids win.
Mm.
Like the Three Ninjas win, and so there isn't the scene at the end where there's like retribution or the revenge of getting the bikes back. And so the reason I was
Oh,
asking is I wonder if like you knew that maybe the music would have been slightly different, but I guess not.
no idea. So the international was longer or shorter?
Shorter.
Shorter, yeah. Yeah, no idea that. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it was quite surreal to because I was only aware of that from doing this podcast, and then watching the other version as an adult, and it's like that's the
Oh.
wrong version. I know my
Yeah,
version only.
yeah. Well, that's crazy.
And so, I mean, we'll circle back to Three Ninjas, but you mentioned like working with like James Horner and John Williams. I mean, that is just insane. And you can see on your IMDb that you were like part of things like the Titanic score. I mean, that's like one of the most iconic scores like in history. I mean, how
Yeah.
what was that like? I mean, or was it just like another day in the studio and then just so happens you just played on one of the most iconic scores in history?
The 80s were like that. There was just, oh, what show are we working on now? Oh, Titanic. Oh, what does it go? How's that go?
Do you want me to do the Celine Dion bit?
Remember when they're going on the plane, the onto the boat?
Mhm.
What a great score. What a great score.
What a beautiful score. I no joke. I sometimes listen to it when I'm working. There's like a hour and a half version or something that you can listen to. I do that quite a lot with movie scores. Like, it's just
Oh,
crazy to me that like you played on that. It's insane.
yeah, I was, James had a core group of people that played with him, and I was not in the core group. There was a guy named Ian Underwood who was his main synth player, and then another guy named Simon Franklin who just did the latest Avatar, who were really his inner circle, and they worked with him all the time. But when those guys weren't available, then I would get the call, and Home Alone and all those things, you just or some of the Disney things that Alan Menken did that you just show up and you don't even know what you just know, oh, you got a date for Alan Menken or John Williams. I remember doing JFK for him, but really the most fun I had as a session player was one with Mike Post because he had 6 TV shows a week,
Wow.
and he had a staff people that helped him, and I was in there, and then when at the very end he asked me to help him write, which got me into composing. But I also did a bunch of movies with Tom Newman, which was just unbelievably fulfilling and exciting because he really did change the way films were scored, the way his harmony and his melodies were very unique. And I got a chance to be in his center group for I don't know a number of years, and then Dave Newman worked for him too, like on the Flintstones and Throw Mama from the Train, and well, they're all on my website. But yeah, just there were just unbelievable times when you would do 2 or 3 sessions a day, and you have a cartage company, and I had these 3 big refrigerator racks full of synths and stuff, and a cartage company would come and pick them up and take them to the studio, set it all up. You do the session, and then they tear it down and take it to the next session. Yeah, but
Crazy.
those days are sort of gone
Mm.
with
That's
the advent of technology.
Yeah, that's so amazing though, and like just to hear that small kind of excerpt that you just played, that small little piece, it sort of it evokes the kind of a like emotional feeling of hope, right? Which is like exactly what you said. They're walking onto the ship. That's what it's about. It's about hope, and obviously
Yeah,
not
you're right.
not knowing the disaster that's about to come. So,
Right.
does anyone ever approach you and say, let's say you've created a piece of music or they're giving you a clip but they're like this is really what I want the music to feel like because obviously the whole point of music is to push an emotion or give the audience a sense of feeling about something whatever might be happening on screen. Do you ever
Mm.
just get someone say to you just create a piece of music for me that is XYZ and you have to go with it without even seeing the footage?
Um, I've only done it a couple times. I know some friend composers of mine do before they even start actually working to picture, they'll do suites of themes. I think James Newton Howard does that a lot because he works with M. Night a lot. So when he gets the script, he'll start writing themes. But I've, I know for whatever it's worth, I never have done that. I don't get motivated until I am seeing the picture.
Hmm.
And there's something visceral about what's happening and what happens in my head and what comes out when I start playing that I think is it's the only way I know how to work. I have never been a pencil and a paper guy. I've always been let me watch it and let me see what comes out from just making stuff up.
Amazing. No, just to have that talent is just amazing to me. And like Simon said a minute ago, just to be able to, you know, immediately just start going on the keys is sensational. But do you ever, whenever you're watching a film now, or maybe even a TV show, are you just continuously are you in work mode? Are you judging the score like
Oh yeah,
as it goes on?
oh yeah,
I could do a much better score than
Yeah.
this.
oh yeah. Not only me, but my wife saying, "Ah, you do a much better job than this."
There you go. Perfect. Excellent.
Well, speaking of TV, so Dom and I have just finished a 6 year we have a few podcasts that we do, and we just finished a 6 year journey of doing a One Tree Hill podcast, which is similar in genre to the OC, and sometimes they get compared. But you were the composer on that, which is like a an infamous show, which still has like a big fan base. Like what was that experience like?
That show was really interesting because it was as you say, it was a huge teen and young people, persons. It was a phenomenon, and a lot of bands were broken, like Death Cab for Cutie and bands like that were broken on the OC. But the way that happened was I did not come in until the third season.
Hmm.
Um, Chris Ting, I think was his name, was the composer on the first two seasons, and then there was a little um, feeling that they wanted to change directions, and just literally the main picture editor on the OC was a huge 6 Feet Under fan,
Mm.
and that's how I got the gig. He convinced Josh Schwartz and Stephanie that they wanted to go a different direction, and let's get that guy that did 6 Feet Under. So that's how that happened.
It's 6 Feet Under is such a phenomenal show. Like that was a show that my that was one of the first shows my parents were really into that, and it was one of the first shows where I was like aware of DVD box sets, and I was like, oh, it's like a box set show where people are
Yeah.
buying a box. It's like early binging, and that it's just get like just respect. I feel like that show almost, I mean, obviously it garnered a lot of respect, but in today's world, like I don't know where that should be streaming somewhere. Like maybe it is. Like I don't know if it's on Netflix here, but like it's such a good show. And again, so what was that like to be part of something that like the quality, not to say the OC is not, but like the quality of 6 Feet Under is really up there.
Yeah, I think it is on Netflix. I don't know if they've stopped it, but it was last year or maybe the year before there was streaming on Netflix. Um, by far the most heartfelt show I've ever done. Working with Alan Ball was just a whole education in how music functions in a scene. Uh, and I had gotten a feel of that from Tom Newman, who I had worked with a lot in the 80s and had just done American Beauty. So when Alan went from American Beauty, the next thing he did was 6 Feet Under, and Tom wrote an amazing main title. I don't know if you remember it, but the main title for 6 Feet Under is seminal Tom Newman, and it's unfortunately, and I don't know really how it happened, but I was asked to do some demos for Alan, and it came down to two of us, and thankfully I got it, and um, really, really changed how I think about scoring because Alan's whole concept of music is not to comment on the emotion, not to overdo the emotion. That there's not much music in 6 Feet Under. If you remember, it's like if there's a sad scene, he doesn't want sad music.
Mm.
If there's something heartbreaking going on the screen, he wants something that plays against it a little bit and sets a mood so that you can feel what's going on dramatically a little deeper without what we call Mickey Mousing it, without just going in the same direction that the scene's going. So a lot of the music that I did was some of it was very, very emotional, but there was also a lot of ambient music, a lot of just sound and pads and sprinkled in with some piano that's very 6 Feet Under-ish, and which is totally, totally influenced by Tom Newman, the way he plays the piano. And like, I'll give you an example of that one. That's like a very Tom Newman-y 6 Feet Under kind of playing and harmonic structure that was, I learned during that 5 years with 6 Feet Under. Tom thinks I copied him. Like whenever I see him, he says, "And you."
I love
But I
that.
did. I copied him, that's for sure.
Excellent. That is so cool.
That's so good. And thank you for playing that.
Yeah. Is there a difference in composing for film to TV? Obviously, one's bigger scale, might very different budgets, etc. But is there a pace difference? Because like, okay, we need this because episodes are going out a lot faster than
Yeah.
a movie might. For example, as you might have 8 months on a movie, for example, or it's in production for 8 months. What's kind of the difference between the two?
It's two different worlds. And you mentioned U571, which was a very, it was a huge project for me.
Love that film.
I I worked with the director for, gosh, a number of months, and he really thought that a synthetic dark score was the way to go for that movie. And when Universal saw it in a preview, they completely disagreed
Uh-huh.
and thought that it needed to be more of an Americana kind of, strong American heroic kind of score. So I rewrote that whole score. And I think I was on that thing like over a year or maybe a year and a few months. But I think it stands up as you know, as a as a really brave kind of bold, almost like a, Jerry Goldsmith did. What was the big movie right before that? It was an airplane movie, but that's what their model was a Jerry Goldsmith Americana score, but don't copy him. So Um, so I worked many months on that thing. But to answer your question, after that, I got 6 Feet Under pretty soon, right after that, and I really enjoyed working on television more because of the fast turnaround. I
Mm.
like that.
Oh, cool.
And then when getting into, episodic HBO, they were spread out maybe 2 or 3 weeks an episode. But when I got into the OC, it was like an episode a week, and you have to really have your gear set up in a way that you can write very quickly and get it mixed and out quickly. And so I did that for a long time, and then I did a show called Grimm that was again 22 episodes for 5 years, 22 episodes of a season, and I really like just at the end of the week, okay, we're done with that one, next. Instead of, the committee coming in and sitting here and saying, well, I don't know, can we try, blah, 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 let's do this and that. And So I actually teach a class from my alma mater in episodic music for television.
Mm.
Awesome.
And there are a lot of tricks and techniques that I think make it easier to just crank out music fast. And I got pretty good at that. So, um, but then the same director from U571 had another movie, a Bruce Willis movie called Surrogate in 2009, which was a good experience. It was good. It was not a committee telling me what to do. It was just and uh, John and me basically. And I don't think the film did very well, but after that I got Grimm, and then Grimm was just a fantastic job. Loved the people, they loved me, and it was just like working with your friends. So that was really a breath of fresh air after working on films. But I think if after U571, if I'd all of a sudden I got offers to do big major films, I would have taken it, but it didn't happen. And I sort of went on that TV path because I got some offers that were really very, very interesting and good to do.
It's like you've got a varied career. Like you've got to sort of dabble on, each side of the coin. Have you ever like has it you seem incredibly humble, which if I was you, I'd be the most arrogant man in the world. But the but have you ever taken time to think like, I mean, obviously it's different in if you were selling making music that are like for a record label and like you could get albums and the platinum plaques of working out, okay, I've sold 1 million albums or whatever. But have you ever thought about, well, how many millions upon millions of people have heard the Titanic soundtrack? How many millions
Yeah.
of people have watched the OC? Millions of people have watched all of these films, U571, like they're all massive projects that are not just in the US but like all over the world. Like how do you fathom something like that? That the music you have created has gone out to that many people.
I've been incredibly fortunate to have the career that I have from, I never wanted to do this. I had no idea I wanted to do this. When I moved to LA, I wanted to be a jazz piano player, and that's all I wanted to do. And, you know, I, I chose LA over New York because I grew up in Philadelphia and I just hate the weather. So I moved to LA, and in addition, my girlfriend from Indiana had moved to LA, so and is now my wife for 47 years. So, that was another draw to go to LA. But as I never thought I would be doing this. I thought I'd be playing in some bars, playing the blues, and and carrying my Fender Rhodes around in the back of my car, and which I did for a while. But I got really, really lucky. That one thing led to another, and I'm very grateful. I have a lot of gratitude for my life, and now it's sort of changed since the pandemic. Things aren't coming in for me as much, and so I've pivoted a little bit. And I'm on the board of the music school at Indiana University, and I started a program there. I started a summer program in LA, and I also teach a class in LA, which just ended last week. So that's sort of it's a overused term, but I like giving back to help others, young people, find their start.
That's awesome. And who better to learn from? Well, it feels like reductive to like go back to Three Ninjas after all of these things. But
No,
I
that's
mean,
cool. That's cool.
but how dare I? But uh you did the score for the second one as well for
Yeah,
Kickback, but I'm obviously no, that wasn't John Turteltaub, but would have been under like Martha Chow, I guess, because she had the owned the rights. Was that how that continued?
yeah, yeah. Uh, do you know who the director was?
Not off the top of my head. We were loyalists to the first one, like as in
Yeah,
we've seen the other ones, but we didn't actually know. There's a whole story to that too that I won't bore you with. But they were like released out of order and like so
yeah.
we weren't aware of the sequels until we were
Oh,
older, and
Mm.
so it was a shock that there was even more of them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, sorry, yeah, who I don't know who the director was. No.
Yeah, I have a feeling it was a guy named Charlie something, but it never had the magic that the first one did. The Turtle Taub is a genius. He's really a genius, and he went on to, he had a huge career. He still has a huge career. Uh, what is it? The game of
National Treasure,
Crystal Treasure, and
Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings. Yes, never hires the same composer twice.
We're desperate to have him on, Rick. Like, I don't know how to contact a John. You're not still friends with him, are you?
I am. Yeah, I see him once in a while. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
could, I could reach out to him and see if he's a gas. He's hilarious.
I mean, so with the from our free for the Free Ninja. I mean, apart from the fact that we love Cool Runnings too, but we've had on for Free Ninjas we had on Kate who played Emily, who's like the girl love interest in Free Ninjas. We've had both of the bullies on the basketball bullies. We've had Margarita who played the mum. We've had
Surfer,
who?
Surfer dude.
Yeah, we've had Patrick who played Fester. We can't get any of the free boys. They've all like just they've gone. They
Yeah,
left Hollywood, and so that's fine. We respect that, of course, totally.
yeah.
And so like if we could get to have you is just like amazing. If we could get John as well, like I mean, that would just kind of finish it off. Like we would become king of the Free Ninjas fanboys, and then
Yeah.
we can like let it rest. But no pressure. But
I'd be happy to reach out to him, and I don't know if he would do it. I mean,
yes.
um, I think the last time I saw him was maybe a year ago at a restaurant, and it was just like we had just stopped working yesterday, so it was great. But I don't know what he's been doing up lately. If
I
if
think
he's
he's
still
doing
active.
free. He's doing National Treasure free. I read the other day that
Oh, is he?
Nick
Oh,
Cage is signed on to do that,
I
and
see.
that he's developing that to do that third one. So
Oh, I see. Here's another little thing that how this business works is that the creator writer of Grimm wrote National Treasure.
no
Oh,
way.
cool.
Jim Calf was his name. Yeah, that's how this all this stuff works. Is oh, I know this guy, and he did this movie National Treasure. Oh yeah. Well, so
It
I would be happy to reach out to John. No promises though, because he's
of course.
yeah.
What can we do for you, Rick? Like, I feel like oh we could send you. We have you won't care about this maybe, Rick, but we could send you. We have like t-shirts and hoodies for our podcast that we'd love to send you as a gift. Even if you don't want it, you could gift it
Give
to
it to
someone
someone
else.
else.
Oh, that's nice of you, but I'd like to know what is your organization and what your podcast has done for, I see in your signature for a company, and what is that for disabled or mentally challenged people? So is this part of that or is this separate?
No, so that's my work email address. So my wife and I run a, care service for young neurodiverse adults. So about 10 years ago, I was we called it an SEN teacher, like a special ed teacher at a local college, and then I went on to create. It's called the Inclusion Project, which yeah, it's a
Really?
service for when young neurodiverse adults leave education, a lot of the time there's not opportunities for them to get into paid employment, and so it can lead to a lot of isolation. So what we it's kind of like a friendship service of helping people make friends and go and do things that everybody else does in their early 20s. So that's what I do for a living. But I just that's just the email address I use.
Oh, I see. I see. So this isn't part of that.
No, this is just
This is our passion
this is the
project.
passion project. Dom and I were best friends when we were kids. So we
Yeah.
would be watching Three Ninjas and all these other films when we were little. And then we, as adults, and it was just before the pandemic, just really got into talking about it and starting a podcast together. And then we've been doing it for 6 years. Our One Tree Hill one did really well, and we ended up like doing things with like with the cast, and So like we spoke to the composer for that, John Nordstrom, and we've done, things around that. And then we've been lucky on our Mighty 90s podcast. We've spoken to like Raul D. Lewis, who is one of the bobsledders in Cool Runnings, and people from like the Mighty Ducks and Three Ninjas and all these movies that we love.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just do it for the love of it, because we love talking about it, and it's just so interesting. Like your story, is so interesting, and it just I don't know how to explain it, but like you even like yeah, like Don was saying, like doing the bits of music there, it just gives this like rush of excitement and like nostalgia and the feeling of being a child and like being engrossed in the film. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like you've given that to us, but to so many people. So like what a gift your career has been.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I'm just sitting here in my little room and doing my thing. So, but there was a time when as I mentioned, with my nephews and nieces, whenever we were together, it was always psych and no way, all they knew the whole script.
Hmm.
Rocky loves Emily, and all that stuff they know. And I actually play racquetball here, and one of the guys he's 36. I've been playing with him 10 years, and he's a stuntman also. He's a martial arts stuntman. And we were playing one day, and he said, "What do you do?" Like when I first met him, "What do you do?" And I said, "As a composer, anything that I know?" And I said, initially some other shows, and I said, "And I did this kid show, like Three Ninjas." And he said, "You're kidding me." He says, "I know the whole movie." And he said it was the biggest movie of his childhood, which is it's really crazy that hit like it did because the production value is not fantastic and uh, the music's great, but
Yes, yes. Patrick said he thought, and so you can see the poster there for reference behind. Obviously, he said that he thought some of the allure of it was the bright pink, yellow colors, and that it would like stand out in like a rental store in like a Blockbuster, like back in the day.
yeah,
But I think it's the we don't get them as much now. Like these family movies that are live action don't really exist. Like they're kind of Pixar animated, which are also great. Like I have kids, like I see them all of the time, and they're great, and the value of them are
I thought
great.
you meant your kids then. You
Yes,
see them
yeah.
all the
I
time.
see them all. I see them too much. No, I
um,
like, but with these films, it's like it's not condescending to children, and I'm not saying that today's films are, but it's um I don't know, like the kids are kind of under threat, but not really under threat. Like you don't ever feel like they're actually going to get hurt or anything, but like the
yeah,
stakes feel high, but they're also cool. Like we all want to have a room where it's got like a mask with a little kind of alarm for if mum's coming. I mean, it's not
yeah,
possible, but and a tin
Trampoline up to the bed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then like a little tin can that's like to the girl next door. Like these are the dreams of
yeah.
little boys, and girls. And so it's wish fulfillment in the best way.
Yeah, it's sort of like a cartoon too. I mean, like Snyder is just he's a cartoon character, the way he talks and give me those kids, and
Rick,
he
he's one of the best written antagonists in cinematic history. How
yeah.
dare you?
Oh,
I
really?
wish we could find him. That guy just vanished. Like he's got two acting credits. One
Oh,
is Three Ninjas, the other one is being a background performer in something. Besides that, there is nothing about this man on the internet, and I have tried because we'd love to have him on the podcast. He
yeah, yeah.
vanished. He went. He actually is Snyder. He had those jelly beans go in his mouth, and he is gone.
Uh, well, you guys, you're great. It's really nice to talk to somebody who remembers this and is, I guess I would say, still a fan. My 30-year-old a couple years ago gave me a Christmas present, and it was the three masks from Three Ninjas that some artist had done. Oh, look at you got one. Oh my gosh.
Of course.
He's got all three. There's two
You have
more.
all
There's two more to
three?
come. Yeah. He's got
Yeah.
them
Oh,
all.
My dog had to go on this one, sadly.
oh
Tum
yeah.
Tums
On
one.
Tum Tum,
Oh
yeah.
no.
But
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to take away from your moment.
No, that's even better. But the point is that this this little movie had a big impact on a lot of kids, and it's fantastic. And I wish that what was the third one like? They go west or something?
They go to Japan, I think, in the third one. But
Uh,
it's a different set of kids. Oh no, sorry, I know what you're thinking of. The one because they went out of order. I can't remember. There's Knuckle Up and Kickback. I can't remember which one's which, but one of them has the original three kids, and there's something going on with like a girl gets kidnapped, and it's like a Native Americans are being like
right,
oppressed and like it's I can't remember quite what's going on, but this little girl no, not the girl, the dad gets kidnapped and they're helping the girl and that, and then the other one where it's a different set of kids except for Colt, he remains, they go to Japan.
right. That's the one that I did.
Oh right, okay, well we had Evan Bonifant who played Tum Tum in that one. He came on our podcast and
Yeah,
he was very cool. And then we had
We had Michael Askey, but he was on a he
he
was
was
in a
in the
different
Hulk
one.
Hogan one that
Yeah.
was a bit later. We had him and he played Colt. So
oh,
like,
wow. Well, yeah, I think the order went 1, 3, 2 as far
yeah,
as the
Mm.
way they released it.
yes,
Yeah, but I remember doing the one about Japan. There was a woman. The young girl was Mio.
yes.
And
There's the
she played
baseball game at the
baseball
end.
game. Yeah, yeah. And I went to Utah for that and recorded a real orchestra for it.
Oh, very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, they had a little more money, but that was also Martha Chang and James, whatever his last name is, Kang, James Kang, producers. I don't know. But yeah, but I didn't do that. The other one, somebody Scott did that one. For some reason, maybe they just got tired of me or something. I don't know. Anyway, I just don't think anything has the charm and just the silly, funny wit in that first one, and that's all Turtle Taub. That's
Mm.
all him.
Well, what a movie to sort of kick off his career, and yours. So it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's so great, and we're so grateful for your time, and we've really loved this conversation. It's been so great. So thank you so much. And yeah, how can people support you? Like, is there somewhere that people can follow or check out your website, or what's the best way?
If they want to hear music, there's a bunch of music on my website, but also I have a sound, what's it called?
SoundCloud?
SoundCloud. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on there too.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, those are the two places. Of course, any searches for me help bring it to the top of the list. And I haven't worked on my website for a number of years, but I think it still stands up. I don't know what do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I was so happy to see it because I was like, great, there's a contact, excellent. Like,
Uh,
yeah, but it was great because it has all of the images of like all of the projects that you've worked on, and
yeah.
yeah, it's great. I mean, again, I know I've been saying it over and over again, but what an amazing career, and I hope you know how much impact your music has had and continues to have on people, and it will stand the test of time. I have a little, I wish I could get it, but it's on the wall. I have a little, so I do like some prop collecting, and I saw this one on eBay, and I had to buy it. It's kind of as a joke, but I have a little piece of the polystyrene that they use for the iceberg in Titanic, and it's in like a little frame up there.
Oh, really?
So I'm gonna remember one day that I told someone that worked on that score that I have that.
That's great. Well, I love all the fans out there that love music and film and TV, and I love talking to all you guys. And it's not many people even notice the music, so I really appreciate you guys noticing and reaching out and having an appreciation to know a little more about how it all happened. I thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for telling us.